Hey everyone, how's it going? Or should I say aloha from Kyoho, Hawaii. I'm Jay and welcome back to another session of Coffee Q&A. I'm here in Kyoho, Hawaii, which is actually part of the Kona district. Let me adjust that a little bit more. That's not working. I don't know why it's not showing better. Oh goodness. I was hoping that it would better adjust, but obviously it's not going to do that. So I'm here at the, where am I? I am at a place called the Outrigger Kona Resort and Spa, which is here in Kyoho Bay. Well, Kyoho, and there is a bay, but this is actually oh, you can't see it. I'm really disappointed that the camera is not being cooperative. That's a little bit, that's a little bit better. Okay, no, it's not doing well. What's up, Indoro? How are you, man? Hey, Andrew. What's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So this is the beach, and no matter what I do to try to get the exposure, it just won't do the exposure. Okay, that is disappointing. What's up, Porter? How are you? So I'm here and at the resort where I've stayed. I wish you could really see me. Will that work? There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Okay, if I get out of the frame. So it's good in that it will adjust, but it doesn't balance the exposure. If I was probably outside in the sun, let me see if I'm over here. If I expose myself to sun, that's a little bit better. All right, so we're here and I'm in Kyoho, like I said, and I'm on the Big Island because I was coming here to visit some friends and to visit some of our coffee farmers. And it turns out that this week, here on the Big Island in Kona, is the Kona Coffee Cultural Festival. So I just came here last night to Kona, and it's been kind of fun because I went to an event last night that was, what do you call it? It was a coffee event where they had a bunch of baristas from different shops on the island. Pacific Coffee Research, Kona Coffee and Tea, as well as Kona Coffee in Hilo. And they were all giving demonstrations on how to brew from pour-overs to French presses to clevers. Really nice time, a lot of great passion, a lot of good baristas, a lot of good talent. So that was really, really nice. And let me see if I can readjust my stuff. Sorry, I had it all set up and I thought it would be fine, and turns out it wasn't fine. All right, I want to give you guys a little bit of a, or at least, I want to try to give you guys a nice viewpoint here so you can enjoy the background. So anyway, so I'm at the Outrigger Resort and it's really quite pretty. Actually, this is the very first. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions about coffee, drop them in the comments. Happy to talk about those. We have some coffee topics to talk about as well, and some fruit. But anyway, like I was saying, so this is actually the first place that I remember staying here, probably back in 1984 with my family when I was still in high school, or maybe I was 15 years old. We came here to Hawaii, and it's really a pretty resort, and it's been here for a long time, right on the ocean. As you can see, it's pretty calm here today, which is nice. And there's no real, the interesting thing with the Big Island, there's not really many sandy beaches. Like you think of Hawaii, you think of sandy beaches, but when you come to the Big Island, let me adjust this one more time. When you come to the Big Island, there's not many sandy beaches. It's mostly rocky coast because of the lava. And so you can see there's a lot of lava, and there's even some lava flows right here. And this type of lava that you see here, it's all kind of jagged. That's called the type of lava. And the is a jagged because I don't really know what causes that because of the composition of the, the whatever, the rock. But there's two styles, and Pahoy Hoy. And Pahoy Hoy has this smoother finish to it. And over on this side of the island, the Kona side of the island, there's a lot more of those because there's been a lot more lava flows on this side of the island for the last 100 years than there have been on other parts of the island, like the Hilo side, for example, or up in the north by Waimea and Hawaii. So you can see that, especially when you're going out to the big resorts like the Waikoloa and those places, when you're more into the lava desert, it's much more wide expanses of lava. Between here and Naalehu on the southern part of the island, there are some lava expanses, but those are earlier flows. So there's more flora now growing on them. So it's probably been about 100 years or so for those, and they're starting to get covered with vegetation. The ones that are from like 50 years ago and sooner, they're not. And then when you go around to the other side, to the volcano side, where the national park really is, again, it's more of that fresher flows or recent eruptions. And actually, since I've been here, and there's actually, as I was sitting in the lobby last night, there was a couple of earthquakes, probably about 3 or 4 on the Richter scale. There's been a lot of earthquakes on the island, much more so than normal. Normally they have about 10 earthquakes a day. Lately they've been doing 40 to 50 earthquakes a day. And basically I had 4 of them like in succession, like maybe just a few seconds or a couple minutes between each one, and then another eruption. So it's really kind of interesting to oh, that looks better. Come back here. Oh. Oops. So yeah, that looks like a fake background. Anyway, so we're here in Kona, and there's actually having the Kona Coffee Festival, and it's a week-long festival of different coffee festivities. Today, on Tuesday, it's a lot slower. I think that's probably because of the elections. There's not too much going on. There are a couple things happening. There's a tour at Greenwell Farms at 9:30 and 1:30 p.m. And then there is what do they call that? There is a Kona Coffee quilt show at the Kona Hawaiian Quilt Museum and Gallery. I'm going to probably check that out at some point today. And then there's also, at the Donkey Mill Art Center, they're having a show of compost culture, the art of regenerative transformation, where local farmers have created art kind of showcasing sustainability practices. And I think that'd be kind of interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening here. You can find out a lot about that online at, I guess, Kona Coffee Fest, there it is, konacoffeefest.com. And yeah, interesting stuff. Unfortunately, I'm only here for a day or two, so I don't really have the time to go there. I'm here I came to Kona for different reasons than coffee. But luckily, since there is the Kona Coffee Festival and I was able to go to that event yesterday, got to shoot more video for the channel, so we should have some nice brewing videos coming up in the not too far distant future. One of the other things, I was staying down in Naalehu, visiting with an old friend of mine, Bill Alvarez, who's now a priest, and then of course with our dear friends Lori Obra and her daughters Joan and Ralph, son-in-law Ralph, who run Rusty's Hawaiian Coffee, and got to go to a luau with them. Evidently Lori has been involved in hula with what we call here in Hawaii a halau, which is a hula group, and they had their big luau, which is on Sunday. So since I happen to be in the other, like, hey, we're having a luau, you should come. And so there's a lot of great Hawaiian food, a lot of Hawaiian music, dancing, just a wonderful time to spend here. And while it's different than the typical tourist luau's that you find at places like this resort and other resorts around the islands, there's a lot of similarities still. The food is somewhat similar. Like we had very, very heavy duty Hawaiian stuff, kalua pig, chicken long rice. We also had squid luau, lomi salmon, rice, poi. They had raw crab, poke, opihi, which are these little mollusks that you pick off the rock on the shoreline, really salty and just like really kind of dense. And what else did we have? Haupia. And so really just a great time, and then good music. And so if you know anything about Hawaiian music, there's a group called Naleo Pilimihana. They were really famous for a long time. So one of the main singers of that, Lorna Lim, was presenting her daughter, also came and played music. And then of course a big group here in the Big Island is something called Napalapalai, and they were playing. Oh, Andrew said making you hungry, great. I know this. Speaking of hunger, I actually was staying at the rectory at the Sacred Heart Church in Na'alehu, where my friend is the pastor. And they had this big mango tree that had ripe mangoes, and they're all falling off the tree, so they're lying all over the ground. And I was like, huh, are these good to eat? He said, as long as they don't get the bugs in them, you should be fine. So I picked this one up. Turns out it does have a little bug damage here, but we're gonna ignore that. I'm gonna eat this sucker. I did wash it. It is feeling a little. I don't have a knife. Oh, is that still good? That looks a little bit. That doesn't look like right here. It looks a little bit overripe. That might have been where it landed. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, this is a little bit on the ripe side, but I'm going to try grinding it. Maybe a little bit on the getting too ripe, right? Uh-oh, the guys are working. So one of the interesting things here about coffee origins, and I think Kona is very much, Kona and Kau are similar in this respect to other parts of the world. When you're in coffee producing nations or origin areas, finding really great coffee shops is a very difficult proposition. Like there's not many, like for many, many years here in Hawaii, you know, you could get coffee for sure, and you could get coffee at the different coffee growers, but it was never great coffee. That's starting to change. Like there's now a coffee shop in Pahala in Kau, where Rusty's is based, and a lot of other people are based. There are 2 shops in Na'alehu. There's and there's a few shops here in the Kona district. So it's changing, and as specialty coffee has increased in impact around the world, they're starting to pay more attention. And here's one of the crazy things: like you could go to many of the coffee farms, and they have all their own little shops, and where they'll sell you coffee and give you samples and sell you drinks. But when you come from the specialty coffee world, where you're really paying attention to the quality of preparation, it's not the same, right? It's a little bit more difficult. So but it's nice to see that there's a change. So actually, the interesting thing is, as I wanted to shoot some places here for our channel, the concern. Wow. Why are you cutting this down? But the concern now is, well, the thing is, like, you know, where do you go to find coffee, and what coffee do you feature? So that's a little bit of a challenge. There are a number of shops here that I've heard of, and that I think we'll be definitely focusing on and visiting. But it should be interesting. So I'm actually going to visit some places today, and this mango is very super ripe. Like look how, like I've never seen it this ripe. Like it's getting to the point now, maybe another day or so, and it's going to be too like overripe, like to the point where we're falling apart. like you can taste, like you know how mango tastes ripe, right? You can taste that it's past that point. Like it's not the optimal flavor of mango. It's a little bit too much. All right. So that's the mango. But while I was also in Olivo, there was a little farmer's market. This Mexican lady was selling apple bananas, which, we don't get that much back home in Baltimore. But out here in the tropics, you find these quite a lot. And the nice thing with the apple bananas, they're very sweet, typically. Really nice. So I'm going to get rid of that edge because that was kind of exposed to the elements for the last day. Oh. The flavor is so different. And what I hear from the apples that we have at home, the regular kind of apples, they're getting to be endangered because there's a crop problem, a disease that's actually going to wipe them out completely. So the bananas we normally eat today, they say is going to be gone in the next couple decades. All right, let's go to our topic at hand. So in today's Perfect Daily Grind, they had an article talking about blends. Are blends becoming popular in specialty coffee? Or something like that. And it's pretty good article. It's interesting because, but I do have some thoughts on that. And basically, as a roaster and as a coffee company, Spro, we've always had blends that we've worked with. In the whole specialty world, third wave world, there's been a lot of emphasis over the last 15 years or so on single origin coffee. And evidently, according to the article, now people are getting into blending. While single origins are really, really interesting and can be very exciting, there's also a part of me that thinks that it's a cop-out, right? If you're a roaster that's only offering single origins, I think that's probably because you lack the skill to make coffee. What I mean by that is that when you buy a single origin coffee, it's a one-note thing. It's basically what it is. And it can be beautiful, absolutely. However, you just learn how to roast that and then you're done. Whereas blending really requires you to understand coffee at a different level, where you can taste individual coffees and then see into the future how to put those coffees together to create a particular flavor experience for your customer. And I think that is really, really much more advanced. Like, for example, let's take it. I think to me one of the great examples is Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser. Craft beer people like to malign Budweiser left and right. They're happy to malign it. They're like, oh, you know what, it's piss water or whatever they call it. Oh, these guys are so busy. They do keep the landscape really well, but not right now, please. Now, for whatever you might think about Budweiser, whether you think it's piss water or great beer, the one thing about Budweiser is that it tastes the same. And it tastes the same whenever and wherever you buy it. And that is blending. That is blending and a great skill that you can create a product year in, year out that tastes the same, regardless of crop variations, right? And what I mean, so, let's say we're using hops and wheat or whatever you use to make beer. Those crops change on a constant basis, right? Year to year, month to month, storage conditions, all that, and they have to be able to make a consistent product so that they can sell more. And that really is transferable to the coffee business and making blends. The more that you can control and blend, the more that you have control over your palate and your skills to create a consistent performing coffee, to me, that's really the more difficult achievement, right? Anyone can sit around and figure out one coffee and showcase it as a single origin. However, a blend that you decide is going to be X, Y, and Z flavors. However, a blend that you decide is going to be X, Y, and Z flavors, you now have to recreate that on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And I think that's very difficult because throughout the time of your production, the coffees themselves will be different. So you really have to understand coffee. You have to understand sourcing. You really need to have a deeper skill set in order to make successful blends. So that's pretty much all I have to say today. That guy is enjoying life in a tremendous way. I wish I was doing that. Instead, I've got to get ready, take a shower, check out, and then go shoot more video for the channel for all of you, as well as visit some more coffee farms. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Apple banana's great. If you happen to be in Hawaii or can get out here over this next week, the Kona Coffee Cultural Festival is a great. It looks like it's going to be a great event, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys again soon, and we got some more videos coming out. I gotta work on them. All right. Aloha from Ke'o, Hawaii.